before we move on, I did want to touch on the controversial penalty. I believe it was how much time was left in the game? 3 minutes and 28 seconds. That big huge sack by Town Passanio.
Mm-hmm.
It was a I believe it was like a 20-yard sack loss, and then I believe Okafor came in swarming when the play was blown dead, and then Josh Allen ended up throwing the
He threw
football
yeah, I saw
at
that.
Okafor, and then you see Okafor get on top of Josh Allen,
He tried
and
to.
that he tried to, and
Yeah.
then a Buffalo Bills offensive lineman decide to shove him out the way, and then all hell just breaks loose. But the two main Buffalo Bills that were involved as far as the fight was concerned was Feliciano
Mm-hmm.
and Dawkins. But when I watched that play, it took me back last year of the Monday night game of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns
Okay. Miles
when
Garrett.
Miles Garrett, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat down and I watched like almost every single possible reaction to that particular that particular altercation. And a lot of folks ruled it towards Mason Rudolph, but I'm one of the select few that feel like Miles Garrett wasn't exactly at fault. Now,
Okay.
I want to hear you guys' opinion on that before I even move
So
forward with it.
there's a portion of that we don't know, which is what did Mason Rudolph say to Miles Garrett?
Right.
Now Miles Garrett said that he said something. I think the issue is there were a whole bunch of people in the vicinity when Mason Rudolph said what said to Miles Garrett, but nobody else heard Mason Rudolph say what Miles Garrett alleges Mason Rudolph said to him. That being said, Miles Garrett literally looks like a chiseled sculpture, and you're swinging a football helmet at a dude with no helmet.
Right.
Like it's only going to look bad, just from an optics perspective. Now, to be honest, as time has gone on, at the beginning, at first I was on the kind of Rudolph side a little bit. Just looking at it, I was like, yo, if he would have came down on the top of his head, that would have been it. Like he would have been eating applesauce the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
But as time goes on, and I learn more about Miles Garrett, and I see his personality and his conduct on and off the field, I'm inclined to believe that something was said to him that led to that reaction. Because I have not seen him really fly off the cuff like that, really before or since that incident happened. And that incident could have happened. It could live in its own silo. But in regards to the Chiefs Bills game, first of all, the best part about that was that all the penalties offset. So
That's the part that was mind blowing to me because what set off the whole thing because Okafor and that guy got a long ass name.
yeah, because I
Town
know
O Passano, they were they made the sack and then
Allen threw the ball at the dude. The
right
dude came at Allen, and then somebody, one of
Felicio.
Feliciano came. I think it was maybe Dawkins that came along first.
No, Dawkins came after the
Dawkins came
shove.
after. Okay. Oh, after he was already on the ground. Once he tried to get back up, and Dawkins hit him again.
Yeah, right.
So they got Buffalo on 2 penalties, and they got Kansas City on 2 penalties. So it's basically like nothing happened from a penalty standpoint. Like it was just a sack, and they just kept it moving. But if you'll notice, toward the end of that game, Buffalo were in their feelings.
Oh yeah.
The last few minutes of that game, they were real chippy about anything that happened towards them, whether it was legal or a little iffy. So they were already triggered, basically. And when that happened, a couple guys lost their heads. But once again, it goes back to the argument of the first time they've been on that stage collectively as a unit. In Kansas City, they've been about that life. They thoroughly, at no point were they ever really threatened to lose that game. Kansas City, I mean. So, Buffalo was a little bit in their feelings. Hey, it happens.
Well, if you think about it, I'll probably say their best chance was at the beginning of the game when they ended up having, I think it was a 12-point lead against the Chiefs.
It was 9.
Yeah, but I mean, we all know when they played Miami, man, Kansas City will rack up them points on you so quick. It don't matter.
But Shake, I didn't get your take on the Browns and the Steelers incident.
Well, the thing I like to say about that is, number one, no matter what he says, you don't do that. It's just like with your baby mama. I guarantee you she said some foul shit and you wanted to beat the crap out of her. If you were to punch her for the stuff that you said, guess what? Guess who's going to jail? Her or you? You going to jail. So at the end of the day, you got to compose yourself no matter what he said. You know what I mean? And just say, hey, look, this is what he said, and leave it at that. Because at the end of the day, that's going to make you look like you're defending, like you're trying to justify what you did, whether he said it or not. Because at the end of the day, remember, quarterbacks have mics, so they could actually hear if he said it or not. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Mic'd up. So
what was said though? What was allegedly said?
Well, I don't even want to get into it, but I mean, man, that just seems like something. That seems like something that a quarterback wouldn't say on an NFL field.
We was on the
But what was said?
The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns Monday night game from last year.
Oh,
what Mason Rudolph? Yeah, because we comparing it to.
It's not even really the same. It's not even. Right. It's not even.
To be honest, it is, because you look at it. Mason Rudolph didn't face the type of consequence Myles Garrett faced, and then when you look at this game, I know the game was out of reach, but if it was, the penalties offset. There were no ejections at all.
Hold on, let me say something real quick. They should have been, because at the end of the day, I hate when that tackle, the guy was laying on the ground. He just went up to him and just pushed his help. Like, the guy was laying down.
Dawkins.
Pushed him right in the head. Dawkins just boom, and then nothing happened to him. The guy was laying, like I said, defenseless, laying on the ground. I'm like, that's a cheap shot.
Dude, keep in mind though,
Dawkins happens to be a white dude. Nothing happened to him.
He's
as
mixed.
a matter of fact, Dawkins actually accidentally slapped one of the referees in the face, and nothing happened to him.
Damn, does Dawkins know someone? How's he getting away with all this?
Sound like a guy I know in Tampa Bay that wears number 12.
They show footage of him about to hit somebody and accidentally slap the referee in the face.
And I will say, I mean, the last 3 minutes of that game, there were a couple guys, you know what I mean, that could have got reprimanded, but I would agree with Shake on that one, because he kind of just, you could tell that they were trying to cool off the situation. He was trying to light it back up. You know what I mean? He did come out. He basically did come out of nowhere when the situation was, at that point, nothing was gonna happen, and he put a little more sauce on it than was necessary.
Shoot, the whistle was blown. The play is dead. Like, as soon as I think if Okafor gets involved with Josh Allen, I would say that's probably when they decided to whistle the play dead, and the play is over at that point. And all this just escalated.
Athletes are sensitive. Athletes are sensitive. That's why this whole thing escalated.
They are.
Athletes are sensitive. They're just like artists. They're very sensitive. And when you're at the pinnacle of a moment that you've been working all year for, and you still got to play the game, but you know it's over, that's when character is revealed. Mm-hmm. Right? Can you take it on the chin, congratulate them, shake their hand, and say, "We'll be back next year," or you're gonna go the Dawkins route?
Right. So we got to remember too, though, the game is played with emotion, and they're playing on the biggest stage. They're playing for the game that's going to get them to where they've all been. These guys have been dreaming for this moment their entire lives. So it's going to be emotionally charged. They're going to get after one another. They're going to say some things that they probably should have no business saying, things like that. In terms of consequences, I think when you compare it to the Steelers and the Cleveland Browns game, it's much different because it wasn't on that Cleveland and Browns game, and the Steelers wasn't on this type of magnitude. Like
They got rivalry already.
Right. If we're dealing with a backup quarterback, getting it in with a star player, I mean, it's not on the same level. Now, I'm not trying to
the star player gets the highest level of consequence, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they're going to look more into the matter if it's something that's going to come of this. They're definitely NFL PA is probably going to look more into this to find out what exactly went down and why was this. You know, Dawkins doesn't seem to be the type of guy that just goes around starting stuff. This is the very first time I've ever heard of him being in the news. So, you know, for either player, I mean, the other guy from Kansas City as well, I haven't heard of him being in any trouble. So, I just feel like it was just the emotion. They just got, you know, they had a big expectation. I picked Buffalo to win the game. Unfortunately, they didn't win. But I just felt like Josh Allen was just on another level.
Well, let me ask you this: what the hell were you thinking when you decided to pick Buffalo?
Because I believe that Buffalo actually had a chance to beat them. I mean, because I wasn't, and I'm still not impressed with the Kansas City Chiefs, even with them beating Buffalo. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. I wasn't impressed with the Cleveland Browns game, and I'm not impressed with the Buffalo Bills game.
The Chiefs gonna be holding up the Super Bowl trophy. Banks will be like, I'm not impressed.
No, we're gonna